Hello, everybody. We're live. I'm here with Chris Gonzales from Loan Simple and Barrow from 7th Level Realty. Mr. Will Lambert was supposed to be here, but he double booked himself. So we're better off now. We got Barrow here. And just kind of looking at the three of us, this is the beautiful hair club.
Right?
So this will work out better.
Yes, I call it the COVID hair club here. Haven't got my hair cut since COVID started, so.
That's kind of funny. I think you did the same too, huh, Chris?
Yeah. I was thinking, well, I'm just going to have to pull it back. But then again, I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't need a haircut. That's all right.
It's wintertime. It's good. So
no, and it's just one. It's been interesting to see how many people have commented that they actually like the longer hair. So I'm like, fine. In that case, I really don't need to get it cut. Pretty soon I can put it in a ponytail.
There you go.
I like that. Hey, so what we do on this show, we track the money throughout New Mexico, where it's going to. That's why it has the money walks, right? And Santa Fe and Albuquerque, a lot of people move back and forth. Between 2016 and 2018, we had over 1,800 people moving back and forth. So you guys are one of our largest relocation areas. So that's why we have you on. So we're going to talk to you about real estate, about your guys' business, and, tell us a little bit about Santa Fe. So shall we get started, guys?
Sure.
Let's run our little promo. And Chris loves that. He gets dancing. It just makes him happy.
Yeah.
So I know you've been in real estate since early 90s?
Yes, 92.
And it looks like, looking at your bio, you've done everything, I think, in every capacity.
I have been very involved in the industry. I believe that, real estate has been good to me and I need to give back to the industry. So I've been very involved.
So what's been your favorite part of real estate? I mean, what kind of pulled you into it? What keeps you in it?
So a couple of things. One, from a personal point of view, I like the flexibility because there are days when I'm not working with any clients and I can do a lot of the things I need to do, as compared to with my friends who are always complaining that the only time they have off is the weekends and their doctor's not available and something else is closed and government offices are closed. I can work around that. So that's on the personal level. On the overall, if we're to talk about what is your why, what makes me tick, what is it that keeps me going? I like to help people. I think if I hadn't gone into real estate, I would have gone more towards the medical field. But I like being there for other people. And in real estate, I just find that happens every day. You get people, and it doesn't matter whether they're buying their first time home or buying a multi-million-dollar home, they want help. And so to help, being there to navigate them through it, let them know about issues, because it could be somebody who's bought many homes in New York, but has never bought here in Santa Fe, to be able to alert them to what are the special issues that occur in Santa Fe, because we do have a few of them.
Absolutely.
Other than just city ordinances and things, we have issues with heating pipes, different types of piping that was used, all kinds of other little issues, radon issues. So being able to help them understand that, know what's happening, why it happens, what our process is. Just for example, in New York, usually the transaction, once the two parties come to terms, is handled by an attorney.
Right.
Here, attorneys very rarely get involved. It's the realtor who does the whole process. So those sort of things I find really fun and enjoyable, explaining my city, my state to other people.
Wow, that's a great answer. I'm impressed. And there's kind of a joke that, as real estate agents, we have all these other hats, but one of the hats we also have is like a therapist. because the emotional part everybody's going
Yes.
through.
And it's true. We're therapists, we're marriage counselors, we're all kinds of things that we do. Babysitters at times, pet sitters,
oh, absolutely.
things. And one little comment, if you don't mind my
Of course.
making. You just said as real estate agents, in New Mexico, we tend not to use agency that much. We're mainly brokers. So I just, for the public, want them to know that we're really, more often than not, we work as brokers. Every now and then, if somebody wants, they can ask us to work as an agent, and there's a separate agreement that has to be signed
Good
to
point.
be an agent.
Good point.
So just wanted to bring that up. It's wearing my having been at the real estate commission hat and the association hat. I always tell others, please don't use the word agent. It gives people the wrong impression of how we work with them. We don't have fiduciary.
Good point.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to take the next question there?
Yeah. Barrow, how is the marketplace out there in Santa Fe? I mean, I'm very familiar with the Santa Fe market as well. And my family's actually from Tesuque, which is kind of close to this,
Yes,
to the Santa Fe Opera area, which I'm hoping that opera opens up so I can tailgate again.
it is scheduled to next year.
Yes.
They have already said they will.
Awesome. So, how is the marketplace out there right now?
So it's interesting depending on whose point of view you want to look at it from. From the seller's point of view, it's fantastic. Our prices are high. They're holding very steady. And it's a seller's market. There's very little negotiating going on. From the buyer's point of view, not so good from 2 points of view. One, because there isn't room for a lot of negotiation, but we're low on inventory. And because we're low, they're not having that much choice. So one example, I've recently been working with this young woman who's buying her first home. It's a little condo. For Santa Fe, we would consider this towards the low end. It's about 180, 85, someplace in there. There was only one property on the market.
Wow.
So she really didn't have a lot of choice as to what to look at. And that can become an issue. And even in the mid-ranges, we're pretty limited. So from the buyer's point of view, it's a tough market. From the seller's point of view, it's a terrific market.
Wow. That's yeah. I mean, I
Where
just.
are you finding your sellers? Are they moving? Go ahead. Are your sellers, are you noticing that they're moving up to different properties? Are they leaving town? What are you seeing the trend with the sellers?
For the sellers, the majority of them I'm finding are either, more often than not, I find they're downsizing. And the reason I say that is Santa Fe is a resort and second home market. So we tend to have older people compared to, say, Albuquerque. And as a result, many are getting to that age where they want something smaller, or they want to go to a home where there's assisted help, things like that. So I'm seeing a lot more of that. And then at the other extreme, I'm seeing the first time people who are selling their first home. They were a first time home buyer 5-6 years ago. Now the market has improved dramatically. They're seeing that they have good equity and they can move up and their family's growing. So it seems to be those two segments in terms of sellers.
That makes
I'm
sense.
not seeing that many people just leaving Santa Fe. There really isn't any place else to go that is the same size of Santa Fe and offers the same amenities.
See, and you've been all over the world, so you can compare it to things.
And believe me, when I was younger, I moved about every 4 years.
Wow.
I've now been in Santa Fe almost 38. And part of the reason is I cannot find any place else that offers as much as Santa Fe. Just a little anecdotal story. And I don't know how much time we have, so I don't want to go off on tangents.
Oh, you're good.
You're good.
But my niece and her father, my brother, lived in Asia. And so for her vacations, often she'd go to Europe, to France, to Italy, England, sometimes to the Maldives, places like that. And of course, you know how when you come back to school, one of the first questions you're asked in class is, what did you do over the summer vacation? And she'd, say where she'd been. And everybody was like, France, Paris, been there, Italy, Rome, whatever. And one time she had come here to visit me. And so when she went back, she said, oh, I went to Santa Fe. And everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so jealous you've been to Santa Fe. For a city of 80,000, we have a worldwide reputation.
Good point.
We have the third best known opera in the country, the top chamber music, the largest Spanish market, the largest Indian market, the largest folk art market. We're the third largest art market in the country after New York and LA. And, when you compare their millions to our 80,000, that's pretty impressive.
That is.
We have 320 some days of sunshine, clean air. So, we have just so much going for us. And as I said, I've looked around because it's not that I don't like Santa Fe. I love being in Santa Fe. But I feel if you go out of where you've been, you get a better appreciation for where you are.
Absolutely.
And so I've looked and I just haven't found any place that I could say would be better than Santa Fe.
Yeah, I agree. You're talking about art, and my cousin has a gallery out there in Santa Fe as well.
Mm-hmm.
And David Gonzales, you can go check out his art on Instagram. But yeah, I mean, art. I'm a big art fan, and then I'm a big, my family grew up there. We have our coat of arms there.
And another interesting thing is food.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about food in a second.
Okay, I'll leave that to
absolutely. We always talk about food. Hey, kind of change gears a little bit. So we're about 8 months into this whole COVID thing, and it's affected every community probably a little bit differently. I think New Mexico, we've had some of the more strict lockdowns. Thankfully, real estate is essential again, and we can kind of get back to work. What have you noticed in regards to the lockdown with real estate and they're around Santa Fe? Because I know we got a lot of local businesses and
it's the process has changed. And it's not that we have, well, at the very, very beginning, when we had the first lockdown, for the first month or two, it did impact. Everything almost shut down. And even the real estate side. So because for a lot of realtors, getting their leads come from open houses, and we couldn't do open houses anymore. So It really dropped the number of leads we were getting. There have been some workaround on that, which is helping, but it's more the process. So, for example, back in April, I was in the process of closing a house. And so the buyer wanted to go measure the house for her furniture, the different rooms. Right. So I let the listing broker know that that's what we were doing. And I said, please let the seller know that he needs to be out of the house. So I get there, go to unlock the door, and the door opens from the other side. And there, not only is the seller there, he has 3 of his friends there because they decided they're going to clean the house on that day. And so I told him, I said, look, you really weren't supposed to be here, much less your 3 friends. We are in a shelter in place mode. Well, a minute later, my buyer pulls up and she has a couple of friends with her because she wants to show them the house. And I'm like, look, those days of having a party in the new house as you're buying are over. We can't have so many people in the house at the same time. And it was very challenging negotiating that and trying to convince both sides that they needed to ask their friends to leave without appearing rude.
Right.
So that sort of stuff has changed.
Absolutely.
having to wear the booties and the gloves and the mask when you go in, and remembering that, don't touch anything with your bare hands, stuff of that nature. So it's more been a complication that way. Taking, the sanitary wipes so that when you're opening a lockbox, you first wipe it down, wipe down the keys, wipe down the door handle. It's not the first thing one thinks about. We're much more excited about opening the house and getting our client in there. So those sort of things have impacted. And then very recently, so 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, when the governor did the latest shutdown and shelter in place, for a moment, she had taken real estate off the essential businesses. And so through the state association, we had been in touch with the governor's office and how are we going to continue doing this, et cetera, et cetera. And part of the guidelines that came back was our clients could go see a house, we just couldn't accompany them, which in and of itself was a little challenging about how they're going to get into the house, things like that. But I showed a couple of houses and I went and unlocked it. Then I had to step away and go back to my car, let my clients go through the house. And so I joked with them and I said, when you come out, I'm going to have to pat you down and empty out your purse to make sure you didn't take anything. But the concern was, I was just teasing them, but the concern was there's no protection for the seller, for the seller's valuables in the house, because there's nobody accompanying the buyer.
So yeah, I'm glad they changed that. That was a problem.
It was a problem. And same thing right now. I'm working with a buyer. We have a house under contract. I have never met the buyer. And only recently, after she went under contract, did I get to see the house. But everything had been done remotely. It was all done by emails and electronic signatures and talking to each other. But I wasn't able to go with her and look at things. So now that, again, we've become more essential, I'm hoping I'll get to meet her before closing. But to me, it's taken away some of that spontaneity, but also the pleasure of working with the people and helping them. It feels a little too distant and remote right now.
It definitely has changed. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of it's probably going to stay the same. I think a lot of people are liking the added technology and the ease of all of this. It'll be different. Agreed. All right. Now this is going to be the hardest question for you.
Okay.
The hard one.
You're breaking up. Oh, favorite restaurants.
Yeah, okay. Favorite restaurants. What is your favorite restaurant? Mine's Tomasitas out there in Santa Fe. I know there's some other hidden gems out there because that's the original Tomasitas out there in Santa Fe. But
yes.
and if you go to Albuquerque one, it's a totally different gig. Like the chili's different. Everything's different.
It's different.
It doesn't have that home style taste.
Yes, I was going to say it doesn't have that tradition that the one here does.
Right.
So it's a very interesting question because kind of like our artwork, for a small city, we have an amazing number of restaurants. We have over 300 and some restaurants.
Insane.
And practically every cuisine you can think of, and of very high quality. Many years ago, one of my cousins had come to visit from San Diego, and we were roaming around downtown, and he said, I'm getting hungry. Where can we go for lunch? I said, let's go to La Fonda. And he said, oh, no. I'm not going to go to a hotel for lunch. And I'm like, why not? He said, let's face it, hotel food is crappy. He said, it always is. It's, and I'm like, no, just come along. We're right here a block away from it. Let's go. So we went. And at the end of the meal, he said, oh my God, I don't think I've been to a hotel that has such good food. And that's very typical of most of our restaurants. The ones that don't, because we don't have such a large population, if they can't hold on to their quality and customer service, they go under. So the restaurants we have are all usually of very high caliber. And yes, Tomasito's definitely one of my favorites. The Shed, La Chosa. There's so many New Mexican restaurants that are great. But at the same time, we have a lot of other ethnic restaurants. You know, there's Middle Eastern, there's Indian, there's European, Chinese. Basically, you name it, we have something. And they're all really, really good. I find that a lot of my friends, when they want to go out and they call me and say, let's go to lunch, they think because I'm part East Indian that I'm the expert on Indian food. So they always want me to pick an Indian restaurant. Whereas I personally tend to go to a lot of the other places. You know, India House is great, Jambo's, Chow's. I mean, you name it. Shoko used to be very nice, but they unfortunately closed recently. It had been around for about 40 years. El Nido out in Tesuque used to be excellent. I haven't been there recently, but they were very good. The Tesuque Village Market.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are just so many. You'd never lack for choice. You could practically go to a different place every time. And before COVID, I was part of a breakfast group. So every Saturday, there were about 6 to 10 of us. We'd get together for breakfast. And each week, we'd go someplace different.
That's fun.
And you could find them. I was ready to become a food critic, but nobody wanted me.
See, I knew it. I knew that would be the hardest question in Santa Fe.
Yes. I mean, a lot of good food up here.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. I know Will was going to be here, and I told Will. So Will, I've known him for a few years now, and he started his own little brokerage. And Bato is the QB, and you're helping him get all that going.
Right.
Do you want to plug your guys' business a little bit? Tell us what you guys got going on.
Yes. So at the moment, a boutique real estate company. So for a number of years, Will has had a team that has been working with him wherever he's been. So he was at Keller Williams for a number of years. Then he was at Barker for a couple of years, and then decided, okay, the next step is to own his own brokerage. So he brought his little group and opened this brokerage. And of course, no brokerage can operate without a qualifying broker. And so we had met a few years ago. We had been working on a transaction together where I had the seller, he had the buyer. And I was so totally impressed with how he handled himself. He was so cooperative and problem solving as compared to many other realtors I've worked at who tend to be a little defensive and combative when you're working with them. Mm-hmm. That when the transaction was over, I called him and said, I want to meet him and go to lunch just to get to know him, because it had been so pleasant working with him. And from there, we developed a friendship. So some months ago, when he called me and said he was wanting to open this thing, but he wasn't going to have his qualifying broker license for a while. And plus, you have to work under a qualifying broker for 4 years if you're going to supervise. And he sort of kept mentioning that, but without making the direct ask. And so I finally told him, I said, well, if you're asking whether I'd be willing to be a qualifying broker, I said, sure, I'm more than happy to try and help you out.
That's awesome.
So we started this a few months ago. And again, as I said, I've been so impressed with how he does things, how on top of things he is, and how professional. So that's, I think, going to be one of the things that will set this brokerage aside from others, in that the requirements to be a part of the brokerage are much higher. So, like, for example, the real estate commission requires 36 hours of continuing it every 3 years. With the way Will has it, it's going to be closer to 70 to 80 hours for anybody who's working at the brokerage.
Oh, wow.
And he wants everybody to get designations. He wants everybody to get certifications from NAR, get the Santa Fe designation. And we've also talked about that ideally we'd like everybody in the brokerage to commit to staying on some committee, whether it's on the local level, the state, or the national, but to be involved in the industry and to give back. That has to be part of their attitude towards real estate, is they want to improve the industry, not just be out there to make money. So I think it's going to be an amazing place.
Absolutely. So very good. I'm very impressed. I've looked for great things from you guys in the future. This was a pleasure. I've enjoyed it.
Likewise, it was great meeting both of you. Look
Thank
forward to other chats or just meeting you all live someday, Christopher, when you're up in Tasuki.
Absolutely.
Give us a call. We'll go to Tomasita's. I don't know if they have an outdoor space at the moment or not, but
So soon we'll be dining together again. Very soon.
I hope so.
Very soon.
I hope so.
So on behalf of Chris, I'm Alex Vallejos, and this is As Money Walks, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Have a nice day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.